Hello and welcome from Granny to all. Granny wishes your health, wealth, and great fortunes. For today's wisdom, Granny shares the story of love and goodbye. Diana sat at her desk, staring blankly at the piece of paper in front of her. The room was quiet, except for the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. She had promised herself she wouldn't cry, but the tears were already threatening to spill. Her hands trembled as she picked up the pen and began to write. Dear Emily, I've never been good with words, but I owe you this. Diana paused, the weight of her emotions almost too much to bear. For years, she and Emily had been inseparable. They had shared everything, their dreams, their fears, their laughter, and their heartache. But now, after all the time they had spent together, Diana knew the end was coming. She could feel it in her bones, and it hurt more than she had ever imagined. They had met years ago in the most unexpected of ways. Diana was just a shy, quiet woman, working her usual 9-to-5 job when Emily had walked into her life. Emily, with her outgoing personality and boundless energy, had immediately made an impression. It didn't take long for the two of them to become inseparable, forming a bond that Diana never thought she'd experience with anyone. But life had its way of changing things. As Emily's health began to decline, Diana stood by her side, offering love and support through every difficult moment. Doctors had tried everything, but nothing worked. Emily's condition grew worse, and Diana watched helplessly, unable to stop the inevitable. Now, as Diana looked at the letter, she knew it was time to say goodbye. I don't know how to live in a world without you, Diana continued, her tears now flowing freely. You were my best friend, my confidant, my everything. I wish I could have been stronger for you. I wish I could have stopped the pain. But I promise you, Emily, I will never forget the love we shared. Diana put the pen down and wiped her eyes, her heart breaking with every word. She had made this promise to herself, to write one last letter to Emily, to honor their time together. But now, as the weight of the final goodbye settled in, she couldn't help but wonder how she would continue without her. The memories. The memories flooded her mind, each one as vivid as the last. The first time Emily had smiled at her across the coffee shop, their late-night conversations filled with hopes and dreams, the way they laughed at silly jokes, and the way Emily's eyes would light up when she talked about her passions. Those memories were all Diana had left now. One of the fondest memories Diana had was the day they spent by the lake. It was a sunny afternoon, and Emily, despite her illness, had insisted they go. They sat together on a weathered bench, watching the ripples in the water and talking about everything and nothing. Diana had never felt more at peace in her life. Promise me something, Emily had said that day, her voice quiet but steady. Promise me you'll keep living, even when I'm gone. Promise me you won't let the world pass you by. Diana had promised, though she hadn't understood the depth of Emily's words at the time. Now, with Emily's last breath drawing near, Diana understood. Emily had given her one last gift, the gift of life, of living fully, even when it hurt. Saying goodbye. The hospital room was still. Diana held Emily's hand, the soft beeping of the heart monitor the only sound filling the space. Emily's once bright eyes were now closed, her breathing shallow. Diana felt a pang in her chest. It was happening. The end was finally here. Emily, Diana whispered, her voice barely audible. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. A soft sigh escaped Emily's lips, and she squeezed Diana's hand, just a little. It was enough. I love you, Diana. Emily's voice was weak, but it carried all the love they had shared. Promise me you'll live. I promise, Diana whispered, tears falling freely now, her heart breaking into a million pieces. Minutes later, Emily was gone. Life after loss. The following days were a blur. Diana felt numb, lost in a world that no longer felt right. She kept her promise, though. She forced herself to get out of bed, to eat, to move forward, even when it felt impossible. She remembered Emily's words, "Promise me you'll live." And though it hurt, Diana knew she had to find a way to live without her. She went back to the lake, sitting on the same bench they had sat on together. It felt like the only place that made sense. Diana closed her eyes, imagining Emily beside her, laughing and talking as they always had. She could almost hear her voice, telling her to keep going. And she would. For Emily. For herself. Diana would carry the love they shared with her. Always. The end. What have you learnt from this story, dear viewer? Tell us your suggestion in the comment section below. Like and subscribe for more videos, and feel free to ask Granny anything.